Hey guys, welcome to my first video. Today's topic is, what's the most disturbing piece of audio there is? Now I'm not gonna waste any more of your guys' time. Let's get right into the video. Hey guys, Storyscope from the future here. I am in the middle of editing this video, and I wasn't going to put a trigger warning. But now as I am editing this, I want to put a trigger warning for highly disturbing content. After doing further research on some of the things listed in this video, it made me want to throw up, and made me extremely nauseous after this. I just wanted to warn you guys before the video gets started. The topics get progressively more and more scary and disturbing as the video goes on. Comment 1. The 911 call of Loretta Pickard, a disabled elderly woman who died in a house fire. She was physically unable to get out of the house on her own. There were firefighters outside her house, but due to a miscommunication, they thought the house was empty. On the call, you hear the woman talking as the fire gets worse and she gets closer to death. Comment 2. The weepy-voiced kid. He killed women, completely mutilated them, and proceeded to call the police while crying about what happened and how he can't stop himself. Then he'd hang up and do it again. Comment 3. The cult leader from the documentary Keep Sweet. Pray and Obey, where he records his of a young girl in his secret room, in which only the most devout followers are allowed. It's haunting. Comment 4. Any of the Twin Towers recordings. The 9/11's museum does such a good job with them. The freaking voicemail the guy leaves his wife haunts me. Comment 5. The 911 call of the woman whose chimp was eating her friend's face. Travis the monkey. My GF is obsessed with this story, and it's actually nuts. He was often given Xanax in his morning tea to help calm him, as he was naturally very agitated towards anyone who wasn't his owner. And on the day of the incident, he saw his owner's friend remove her glasses and put her hair up, and that triggered him to go into a drug-fused rage where he didn't register pain or respond to his owner for a pretty big chunk of time due to the Xanax. He degloved the victim, as well as tore off her nose and ears and parts of her cheeks. Fucking terrible, all while his owner stabbed and beat him repeatedly. On top of being stabbed multiple times, he was also shot up to 15 times during the actual incident by cops and did not die till hours after the drugs from his tea wore off. Initially, officers thought that the 911 call was a prank call too, so they hesitated on dispatching officers until other neighbors called as well. Comment 6. The Ruth Price 911 call, where she's this old woman living alone in her apartment when some stranger keeps trying to get in. He eventually does, and then she can be heard screaming for her life. I think he was stabbing her. Fortunately, she survived and lived another 14 years. Pretty sure it was used to train dispatch in the past for how horrific the audio is. If I remember correctly, in reality the killer was some guy who tried to choke her, but she was able to fight them off. Comment 7. This one is accompanied by video, but the reaction of a man whose wife gets when a brick flies off the back of a truck they were driving behind on a highway and came through their windshield. The audio was captured by their dash cam, one of those things you can't unhear. Yeah, this one is just straight depressing, extreme raw emotion of a sudden and violent loss of life. I can't even begin to imagine how traumatizing that is. Whenever I'm driving and I see a truck with bricks of stone stacked high in front of me, I make sure I'm like 10 cars behind that truck just because of that video. Comment 8. Jared from Subway talking about how he likes kids who come from bad homes because they are easier to manipulate into having you know what. Don't listen to it. I still find his whole story bizarre. Middle-class fat dude loses a bunch of weight eating Subway subs. Subway throws money at him as part of some health campaign. Skinny dude uses money to live out some crazy pet fantasies for years until it catches up with him. Comment 9. Jim Jones talking into a microphone while his followers poison their children. This was the one that came to mind for me. Forcing those kids to take poison. They had many of the children poisoned before the mothers, so the mothers would more willing to drink. Truly sickening. I also remember hearing that he had people physically restrain his wife, because he knew she would try to save the children while they were getting poisoned. By the time most of the children were dead, she was let go, and she voluntarily drank the Kool-Aid. Comment 10. I'd venture that the Toolbox Killer's audio recording of them torturing and R-wording Shirley Ledford is probably pretty high up on the list. It has never been released to the public, or leaked, but there does exist the full transcript online. Just in general, I'd add the Toy Box Killer welcome message tape, basically telling the women they kidnapped that they were chosen because they were young and hot, there was no way to escape, and they would be drugged and R-worded endlessly until David Ray Parker was bored of them. Then their memory would be erased and they would be released. Memory erased? How? He drugged them up with massive amounts of sodium pentothal and phenobarbital. The 911 call Jennifer Pan made after she hired people to try and parents. At one point, her surviving father starts shouting and yelling in the background. This is after he had been shot multiple times. I think one of which may have been to his head or neck. When I tell you that I can still hear her father's screams, I mean it. It might not be the worst thing on here, but it's freaking harrowing. Comment 12. Warren Jeffs, of the Fundamentalist Church of Latter-day Saints, tape recorded himself R-wording a 12-year-old. The most disturbing audio I've heard. Comment 13. The mom screaming her heart out when she walks in on her son who just blasted his face off with a shotgun. It's from the 4chan kid sewer slide video years ago. Yeah, the gore was pretty intense, but it was so quick you don't really process it. Then his mom comes home with his little sisters and it's the worst piece of audio I have heard. It messed me up for a good while and got me to stop being so morbidly curious because there are some things we just shouldn't see or hear willingly. Comment 14. The audio of the huge dairy farm that caught fire in Texas is freaking haunting. 18,000 cows crammed into a warehouse and burning alive. Comment 15. The astronaut that fell from space screaming while burning and falling through the atmosphere? I think he was Russian. The picture of all the general at his funeral looking over just a pile of charred remains is very eerie as well. Thing is, he knew he was going to die before the launch. But Yuri Gagarin was his best friend, and would have taken his place if he refused to go. So he's cursing out all the people who put him there, as he's burning up in the atmosphere. He even wanted an open casket funeral to show the results of rushed preparations to the officials, I believe. There's a photo. It's just a bunch of people with hats and medals looking at a glass casket with burnt remains in it. Comment 16. The video that came out a few years ago in Pennsylvania, I believe. Two neighbors were arguing over snow removal or something petty. Sounds like it had been going on for some time. Neighbor shoots the female in the street, then goes inside and gets a rifle. As he approaches here, lying there in the street, the audio picks up him mentioning, "Next time you'll keep fucking mouth shut," and then shoots her point blank in the middle of the street. I've heard a lot of nasty stuff on Reddit, but that video audio will live with me forever as a testament of the evil humans are capable of. The old guy also kills the woman's husband, who was taunting him alongside her moments earlier. Then he goes into his house and kills himself, though this part is obviously not captured on the doorbell video. Comment 17. Owen Hart was a WWE wrestler who died during an entrance on a live pay-per-view. His harness he came down to the ring on snapped. There's one clip of it that exists in any public form, and it's an audio recording from the Spanish announcer table where you can hear nothing but a sickening, crunchy thump as he hits the ring. Supposedly, the original video recording of the incident is locked deep away, with instructions to never watch or open printed on it. Comment 18. The one where these two teens go into this guy's basement, and without them knowing he's waiting down there with his gun, and shoots both of them, and can hear the guy say something right before he shoots girl as she's trying to go back up the stairs. I can't remember all what happened, but that was pretty chilling. Maybe someone here knows what I'm talking about. I remember that. Apparently the boyfriend had been breaking into this guy's house for a while. Homeowner contacted police, told them he suspected this young man, and they said there was nothing they could do. Homeowner decides to lay in wait for home intruder and when he enters. The girlfriend comes in shortly after the first shot and is also Homeowner waited 24 hours, I think. May have been 48 hours to inform police he had two people because he didn't want to bother them in Thanksgiving. He hid the bodies in a closet until he called police. Edit. They were cousins, not dating. Comment 19. For me, it's Alessandro Moreschi, the last castrato singing Ave Maria. For those who don't know, castrato was a type of voice only belonged to children who were castrated before puberty. The parents of the children usually did this to preserve the children's high voices so they can keep singing and make them money. There's an audio of Alessandro singing Ave Maria on YouTube. The voice is very eerie because this voice came from a man who's also a boy, and he was also around his 40s or 50s when it was recorded. The comment that I saw under the video that stuck with me said something like, "His voice is in between a child's and a woman's voice." Final comment. For me, it's Florence Pugh's scream crying at the start of Midsummer. Reminds me of the call I made to my sister when our dad offed himself. She says she can't watch that scene as it's too triggering. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I don't recommend searching a lot of these topics that were listed, but it is up to you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video.